Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today is our first automation video, which is going to be a cool learning curve. We're going to see how it's doing. We're going to see how it does. But we're making a 2,000 horsepower drag car, which right now we already built the engine, 2,072 horsepower. It is pushing a lot of power. It's a 6.7 liter V8. We could have probably got it up to like probably 2,500 if I really tried, because we just didn't max out the engine size, because we can make this thing even bigger and possibly more power, but I want to keep it realistic, so we have to put a 6.7 in it to make it sound like a crate motor. It's still got maxed out pistons, it's got billet steel crank and all that, so you guys can pause if you guys want the tune. Which, if you guys do make it faster, please tag me in the video, because I will, I'll like react to it or something. I just want to see how much horsepower you guys can squeeze out of this engine. But now it's on to the actual build. We already started a little bit before I started recording, and we already built the engine off camera too. This is a start it, just looking out, seeing what we could do. So first thing we do is we look at the hood and we lower it down so that we can actually get the suspension lowered down to get this thing looking more aggressive. You see right there, we lower this thing down. Take the chassis off, and you can see there's not many fixtures on this. It's just a rear ducktail lip, the vents, the number plate thing, but we're putting the roll cage in this part, and it's actually, I didn't notice it till later, I just noticed it now, that it's actually the wrong roll cage. We have to fit the roll cage into this car, which is it's a pretty wide car, but we just gotta make sure it fits. It's a little bit too long right here, so we did most of the boring stuff off camera. But next we're going to do is removing the engine up. I think, yeah, so removing the engine up, and this is when we notice that the engine is too tall if you want to lift it up. So this is when I decide to try to block part of it out, because I do not have that mod where you can like cut things away. I don't know what it's called, so I don't have it. So after a couple failed attempts, we eventually just take the hood off and make our own hood, which takes a lot longer than I would expect it to take. So you can see it's a very jank hood. We could have made it a lot better, but I didn't really have the time on my hands at this point. I was just kind of bored and built this engine, which, by the way, this engine is twin turboed. So you'll see there's actually 4 turbos modeled, because there's 2 underneath the wheel wells, which are the exhaust pipes, and then the 2 actual turbos. So the exhaust pipes, they're cool. I like the exhaust pipes. But this is when we're trying to get the top part of the hood with the curve, trying to make that fit. So at this point, all we have is a roll cage on the interior. We have nothing else done. Try to level out the hood a little bit, but this is the part where we make the hood invisible. Fix up the custom hood a little bit, and this is when we start making the interior. So you put our racing seat in there, make sure it fits and stuff. Make the chassis tunnel size really tiny to make this thing just very compact and somewhat realistic. So this car is actually inspired by a car I drew at the end. My teacher let us like do drawing at the end of state testing, which I think was, I mean, I don't know why I should be doing that of how old I am, but I drew a drag car, and that's basically where this thing came from. It was more of like a IROC Camaro look, but anyway, we're putting the dashboard in. We made a dash really thick, but now we're making the switch panels and stuff to make it so everything fits perfectly nice and snug, and you can have switches so to turn the car on and off. So we also have some more stuff that we are adding. We're adding the second switch panel, which at the time I actually did notice that didn't fit. There was the same one. The reason I'm moving the camera around is because my dad actually walked in and I showed him what I had so far. Maybe I didn't have to. I just kind of wanted to show him what was going on. Yeah, so put the switch panel in. This is when we realized it was the wrong one, so we switched it over. And then this is when we finally got the tires, the right beadlock wheels on. So we make this thing really thick on the front and the rear. So we make those tires real thick. I won't reveal how good this is, but now this is the passenger seat fuel tank, which I don't think is actually that realistic. I don't think they'll put it in the passenger seat, but I didn't really go for realism here. I just kind of did that. And this is when we changed the grill out. Made the grill a little bit bigger. Since we are shoving a big engine in here, we might as well need a big grill. But at this point, this is when we started running out of ideas. And we had to finish the interior. So we started to put the steering wheel in. So we got this normal muscle car looking steering wheel. You can see actually the turbos that shoot out the side. So we don't actually have an automatic shifter in the base game, and the only thing I have is I have the race car interior pack, and I just put the sequential transmission on there, and angled it so it looks like it. So here, this is when we start writing. We write "send it" on the dashboard. I don't really know why. I think it was just because, it had to have that race car feel. So you can see us spelling it right here. You see some of them get stuck in the grill, or not the grill, the inside of it. That's when we left the game, went back in. We actually looked at the parachute of my car we're going against, and we tried to copy it, but the game didn't like us. So we start making our own. So we start with a cylinder, and then we put a gray box or cloth box. Angle it down a little bit. You guys can copy this. It looks really bad, but use these little pipe pieces. And then some more cloth as the cord that kind of hangs down. And I haven't seen that many of these, so I just kind of doing it off of memory. But I do know that these things do droop down pretty far, especially on certain cars. So it got real close to the ground and tried to remove it to make it round off a little bit more. But I think it had that I think it was getting there to that realistic look. I think it was hanging a little bit too low, but I think it was good. We still had some parts that we still need to add, like a giant front intercooler that we put on the front. It is ridiculous how big it is. So we just put a normal intercooler in there and we just make it really thick. But then we put a license plate on it, which for a long time was actually sitting on the back, but then we moved it to make it more of a street car look and put it on the spoiler. Do you think it had a really cool look? I think it was cool. This is when we added the fire extinguisher on the inside. We put it next to the fuel tank, which I don't think is really safe. But also, we noticed that if you read the side of it, it actually says no metal fires. Which, considering this car is made of steel, that wouldn't be very good. But we actually put an interior door handle so we can actually get out of this thing. But I don't know how realistic that is. But I think that's it for the build. I think I'm gonna add one or two more things to the car. Yeah, we fixed the setting stuff up. So right now we weigh 2,900 pounds. in this big American car, which I think that's like realistic for what they're doing. Also, I had interior door panels. I don't know if I said that. This is just me looking around it, making sure everything looks clean and crispy. We did a couple more things. We added the beefy rear axle, because the axles they have in the game, they just look really tiny. So from the Baja pack, they have these really big chunky axles for like Baja trucks, but I just shoved one in mine. This is when we put sponsors on it. We only put like 3 sponsors because I was lazy and I was tired of this car, because I have another car that I was building alongside this one. But this one we're testing it, and we were wondering why it maxes out at 200 miles an hour. But now this is when we start testing. So this is our Honda S2000 knockoff. It's got an inline 6, methanol injected, big turbo, hood exit. All these cars have locking differentials because I didn't know which differential was like a welded one, because there's a lot in that game. I didn't know which one was which. Also, you can see how small our parachute is, but you can see the piping job was really bad. It didn't really look that good. It didn't even connect to the turbo somehow. The exhaust exit, the interior, which looks pretty much the same to the other one. Maybe a little bit more high quality. The roll cage fits really snugly in there. The parachute's got a really short rear stand thing. I don't really know what you call it. The cord. This is revving it up. I'm gonna turn the volume up on this a little bit. There we go. But yeah, so you can see the car likes to pull wheelies a lot, which isn't great, considering this is a very light drag car. So that one actually held a wheelie all the way in 2nd gear, and we get a 8.0 for the first pass. So this time we let off the gas a little bit when we started to get the boost to lessen up a little bit. This time we get a 7.6, so a 1/4 of a second difference, or not 1/4, 400th of a second difference from the last run. So we can actually check how much power we're making in this. Yeah, 6.2 methanol double overhead cam inline 6 engine. So we do pop and wheelie in 3rd gear. So this thing has around 1,600 horsepower. Would you think for a pretty much bone stock, I think it's almost a completely stock bottom end. Don't ask me how I did it, but it's 1,600 horsepower. So you can make like, I think like 2,200 on this engine if you try hard enough. I guess it's 100% possible with this inline. But we just had like a stock bottom end sort of build. And also because it couldn't stop blowing up. But so get another one at 8.0, which is slow compared to the rest of them. So short shift it from 3rd to 4th, which kind of hurts a little bit. And we get a 7.5, which isn't terrible, but we could go faster. So this is the part where we switch into the other car, the new one. So I don't exactly remember what this one's called. The idle in this thing is ridiculous. I might release these 2 cars as a separate mod. I might put them in the description, or if you guys want it, I'll give it to you guys. The Ascendant actually came out way better in the actual game than it did in animation. The hood still looks pretty jank. The carbon fiber rear part looks pretty good. The wheels look good. The big thick axle exported pretty good. I mean, it went white. black rear bumper looks good. Everything on here looks good. Now out in the open, you can actually see the parachute loop looks really cool. So we're gonna see how this thing runs. So you have to be a 7.5. Now ready, a 7.2. 200th of a second improvement from the other car. Then again, this is making like 1.5 times more horsepower. This thing is packing 2,000 horsepower. So you get another 7.2, 7.24, and that's when we find out the rear axle likes jumping out. So there we go, we get 7.2. It would be nice to get in the 6s, or I think we were in the 6s, but I think you could have made it faster, considering we had literally like 2,000 horsepower. Alright, so 7.4. The only thing is that this thing is hard to stop. That's the only problem. So it actually scrapes on the drag strip. So we still get a 7.1. Getting closer and closer to that magical 6.9 mark. But this is when we put more power into it. So I found out it's called the Brute. It's just got a 7-liter methanol double overhead cam engine. Next you have the idle right here. This thing it's cool. It's really fast. I think we could have made it faster, maybe with a little bit of weight reduction. We put some bigger nitrous shot in there. This will run into our first problem, is that it actually did not like the nitrous, or at least the gears don't like it. So I don't remember if we were on a 6 or we're still a 7. I don't exactly remember. We should be able to get a 6. Stick the nitrous on, rev it up, and send it. Shifting to fourth really early. And top out at 222. Getting a 6.99. So 6.94. So this thing is fast once you throw some nitrous at it and some extra upgrades. We actually are pushing more power now. You see we're trying to dyno it to see how much power we get. So we're pushing over 2,800. Like 2,600, something like that. With the nitrous. This thing does not stop. This time we actually did stop. Somehow. Personally, I like the S2000 knockoff a little bit better, just because it's inline 6, and it just sounds really good. I mean, this one's idle sounds good, but I've already put this V8. That's the only problem, is that this V8 engines don't have a lot of variability. So we're looking at the headers, the tubes and stuff that go through. Which I think this is where the video will kind of end at. You just kind of see the turbos and the exhaust exit and stuff. But maybe in a future episode we will make this thing faster and make it more drivable. Maybe we'll get even more advanced and make it so like, oh yeah, the buttons light up when you hit the brakes. But we'll make it so steering wheel and stuff moves. And a couple more runs in the new truck, the new rig. Revving it up for a little bit. Now we're just trying to pop a wheelie. Rear suspension is a little bit too soft. I can actually hear this thing. Get 695. That's gonna be it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next automation /BeamNG video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.